Hey guys, Peter here. So in this video, we're going to discuss 4 classical pieces that you can start on today that will take your piano playing to the next level. Okay. Now I'm not going to teach you these things note for note or anything like that. So I will leave links in the description so you can print out the music and begin working on these pieces today. Okay. Now for the average beginner, these are going to be challenging, but they're not meant to overwhelm. So if you're ready to start learning, stay tuned. All right, guys, number 1 is going to be Minuet in G by Christian Petzold. Now, this was published in the notebook for Anna Magdalena Bach, so oftentimes this is wrongly attributed to Johann Sebastian Bach. But no, this is actually Christian. Petzold is the composer. Let's take a listen to it a little bit, and we'll talk about some of the things just to kind of be careful of, okay? So I'm going to play the first part a little bit here. Here we go. And then it goes on from there, and I think for now, I think that's enough for now, because I think you guys, a lot of people have heard this piece. This is a very kind of, I call it popular in the sense that it's very well known, right? This Bach Minuet is basically there's 2 parts to it, so it's in binary form. We have the A section that repeats, which is what I just played, and then the B section, which also repeats in itself. So it's in binary form. This is in 3/4, so there's 3 beats per measure, but I like to feel this in beat 1, in 1 beat. I'm sorry, not beat 1. I like to feel this in 1 beat, where we kind of have an emphasis on beat 1 and the other 2 a little bit lighter. So a lot of times when we have these quarter notes on beats 2 and 3, we can kind of detach them and make them not necessarily staccato, but definitely released from each other. Listen to this first line. I'm disconnecting that beat 2 and 3, again, because those are not the strong pulses of this type of song. And Minuet is actually a dance anyway. So we can go ahead and make those quarter notes a little bit light. Now, in this time period, it wasn't really common for finger numbers to be written in. And so what I've actually taken the liberty to do is I wrote in the finger numbers that I use for this particular piece. And I wrote it all the way through from beginning to end so you can follow it. Okay. Now there's some ornamentation in this piece. And as a beginner, I recommend just not worrying about any of the ornamentation. You'll see some mordants and stuff. Just play the notes as written. Okay. Let's take a look at the second line, the second part. Here we go. All right. So I messed up a little bit of that finger on that last part, but we ended up getting through to the end, which is fine. I just want you guys to be able to hear this a little bit. And when you do this, play hands separately for a while. Get used to the fingerings, because once it gets into this next section, the left hand really does move around a lot more. So practice these things hands separately. Remember, this is in the key of G, Minuet in G. So always keep in mind that F sharp in our key signature. Okay? I think that's about it for this one. Practice, 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 and let's move on to number 2. All right, guys. Number 2 I've chosen is going to be Bach's Musette in D major. Okay, this one's nice and fun. This one's, and I'm kind of going in order of difficulty. I think this one increases in difficulty a little bit, mainly because you have to read a wider range of notes, and there's more jumps There's a lot bigger leaps in the left hand and also in the right hand. Okay. This is in D major, Musette in D. So D major, so we have our key signature F sharp and C sharp. So just be aware of that. Let's take a listen to what it sounds like a little bit. Okay. Here we go. Repeats. And let's go ahead and stop here for now. This is the A section, and this one is what we call ternary form. So there's 3 sections, an A, B, and an A section, where that A actually is a direct repeat from the first A. So the 2 A's, they're exactly the same. So when you learn this first part that I just played, you've really learned 2/3 of the entire piece. Okay. Again, this is in D major, so F sharp and C sharp. Couple things to be aware of. First of all, rhythm, right? Learning how to line these things up. Okay. Going into the 3rd measure, you'll see that if you have the music in front of you, I've written a 2/3. And I give you that option because I've seen this played either way. Crossing over to 3rd finger, so that we're kind of in like this D position. Or 2 with the right hand, and I wrote this over the right hand. 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1. And I like using 2. It's a little bit easier to cross over. I think it's less of a distance. But I also like the fact that it keeps the moving notes in the stronger part of our hand. As opposed to 3, 4, 5, we're using 2, 3, 4. So it just stays in the stronger part of the hand, a little bit easier to navigate some of these note movements. Now you'll notice that I'm actually doing kind of detached notes, and for the most part, through this entire piece, without getting into too much detail on the history, pretty much imagine all of your 8th notes are going to be separated, unless they're connected, and we'll see that in the second half. So the beginning, we open up, the left hand opens up with these D's. Very important that they stay detached and nice and light. They can't be heavy, because you're going to lose the feel, that sound of kind of what that old harpsichord used to sound like. You know, and then like that's just not kind of what it would have sounded like. So we need to make sure that we detach these 8th notes, and very light, as light as you can make it, while keeping the right hand connected. And then we're going to switch over. All 8th notes being detached there. 16th notes connected. And then the A, G, F sharp, E, A, F sharp, D, and then continuing on. Okay? I think that's pretty much it for that first part. Let's take a listen to the second part now. Again, 8th notes detached. I'm going to connect quarter notes that I see. So we have, and I'm actually going to hold that quarter note down. It's not going to be, right? So just be aware of that. That left hand, again, staying nice and light. Kind of exploring the key of A in this section. The 5 chord. Okay, so let's kind of take a listen to this. Let's see. Sorry. Let me do that again. Sorry, and that's actually the section that I recommend practicing hands separately quite a bit until we get a little bit more comfortable with that pattern. Let's listen to that again. I'm starting from measure 17. So the bottom system, 1 measure in. So we have 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2. Okay. And that A can be held. I'm playing it staccato, and I don't mean to. I'm kind of reading as I go along here. So, all the eighth notes detached and separated. Let's listen to that second, let's see, measure 11, 12, 13. Now, this section, typically what I like to do when I have material that's the same exact material, I like to do an echo, but this one, because I think this is all moving towards the end here. I don't think it needs to do an echo. I think it actually needs to build. And then that would be the end there. So grow through this. I know it's not very characteristic of Bach to be musical, like in sense of like we don't want it to be very pianistic, right? But I think since we are on a modern day piano, why not add just a little bit? Not too much that it's out of character. It doesn't need to use any pedal, right? Right, that would just be completely uncharacteristic of the Baroque period to use any sort of pedaling or anything like that. So notice we have a tied eighth note. Tie. So play those a little bit stronger, just to keep the sound to carry over through the bar. Dun, dun, dun. And then the fingering is very important here. When it repeats 1, 2, 1, 4. Imagine we were gonna play this all connected. Right, we would go 5, 4, and then try to slide over to 5 again. 5, 4, and then when it repeats 1, 4, 1, 5, 2, 5. Okay, but just with it detached. And then the same thing. 1, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. So pay attention to the finger numbers very closely. Again, time period, you would not have gotten this, and you notice all these are handwritten in because they were not written in for you. So I did that. I took that upon myself to write those in for you. Okay. I think that's it for this one. Just practice hand separately. I think the toughest part is the last 4 measures of the piece. So work on it. Let me know how you guys do, let me know if you guys like this piece in the comments below. Let me know. And if you guys also leave a comment too if you would like me to do one of these pieces in a little bit more detail. We're kind of skimming through them. Okay. Let's go ahead and move on to number 3. All right, guys. Number 3. This piece is a lot of fun, and again, we're just getting more difficult as we go. So this number 3 is Arabesque by Friedrich Burgmuller. This is just a lot of fun, and it's got some fast notes with the right hand that eventually carry over into the left hand as he explores the 5 chord of the key of A minor. This is in the key of A minor. This is the first one that the key of the piece is not in the title, right? So Arabesque, key of A minor. Let's take a listen to what it sounds like. I'm going to play the first part here. Okay, here we go. I guess I did do it with repeat, didn't I? So, this is just really, it's just a lot of fun. Again, we have to keep, everything about this piece is about keeping your fingers and your touch light. If things get heavy, it's just not gonna sound right. So every time we do a staccato, it's important that we think of our staccatos instead of thinking down, where we're gonna get heavy. I want you to actually think about your staccatos as more of an up, that your fingers are going down as your wrist is coming up, and that'll get you a much lighter touch as opposed to going where you're thinking down, 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 up, 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 up. Okay, everything up. And the same thing with the right hand. Okay, Everything up. Okay. And then the articulation is very, very key here. Looking at measure 7, staccato, and then and we have these eighth note rests. Those are very important. He really wants those notes to be short. And even though the left hand doesn't show staccatos on the second system, everything that left hand will be staccato for. All those chords. The G7, C. And then that's the only note that we have that we do not have a staccato marking over is that E. Okay, moving on. The second part of this piece is kind of along the same lines. We have this melody. And then back into the beginning. So this piece is in what we call rounded binary. So there's 3 sections, A, B, and then A comes back, but it's considered an A prime, where it's not exactly the same exact material that we had in the beginning, but it's very close. And so this is the B section. Let's take a listen. Here we go. Sorry. And then this happens. And then that repeats again, okay? So the left hand now has the 16-note pattern. So make sure that we keep these nice and light. Make sure that, and that tends to happen a lot. A lot of people, their left hand tends to be a little bit heavier. And so this is a good song, a good piece for that reason, because not only working the speed of the right, but you're also working the speed and the lightness of the left. Okay, and then from there the notes get up a little bit high, looking at the second ending going to the end. It's the same thing we did at the beginning, except now we're just moving up higher. And then, but it's all the same pattern, and then the end. And that just as much as you can get onto it, and then ending on a nice A minor chord. A lot of the fingerings are written in here, and they're not written by me, because now we get into a time period where they start writing finger numbers in, and I think they're pretty good. Repeat at same pitches. Make sure we use different finger, even though it's the same pitch. Just for technique purposes, staccato. Okay, so make sure we use different fingers. Okay, I think that's about it for this piece. Let's go ahead and go to number 4. All right, guys, number 4. A little bit tougher than the other ones previously. This one is Allegro in B flat from Mozart, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Getting a little bit more difficult. We have a couple more flats in our key signature. So this one has 2 flats, B flat and E flat. So always remember that. We have a lot of accidentals in here. So this one is just a little bit more tricky because of that as well. And plus our hand position moves around quite often. So make sure you follow those finger numbers. Very, very important here. Let's take a listen to the beginning so we know what we kind of expect. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, before we go into the next section, I just want to kind of go over this a little bit. You'll see these slurs over 2 notes, okay, if you're looking at the beginning. Make sure that those notes get connected, and when there's not a connection, that they get disconnected, just ever so slightly. So, F is not connected, D to B flat is connected, A to C is connected, B flat to low F is connected. Connection. So we have these really, really strong 2-note phrases. We have this next line. Notice the fingering. 2, 2, 3, 4, and 2. Again, avoiding using that thumb on that E flat. I just like using that fingering. Then it happens again, and I like to think of this as our echo. So imagine you yell something and it echoes back. It's much softer, right? So the first time, echo it. Make sure you guys echo it. Continuing on, we have the same two-note phrase. Okay, now measure 9. We have this grace note on A to G. Make sure that the A lines up with that B flat on the left hand. Instead of the alternate, which would be the G lining up with the B flat. This is a big no-no for this time period. It needs to be A to G, but A needs to line up with the B flat, and then you move to the G quickly. As opposed to, okay, do you guys hear the difference? We can either go, which is no. But what we want to hear is, so just make sure that that A lines up with the B flat. Okay? And then from there, it's pretty straightforward. Make sure you observe your rest. That's another big thing. These rests are written in there on purpose. So if I did that line, rest. So make sure that those rests are there. Okay? Next section. That's it. Follow the fingerings. Nothing too crazy about this. You have the two-note phrases. Off. I think that's pretty straightforward. It's a sequence, so what you can do is the first one can be strong. Next one lighter. Okay, it's a sequence, so it's the same pattern, just shifted down a little bit. So the second one can be a little bit lighter. That's about it. Now we have the same material from the beginning. Echo. Now the same material, but now returning back to our home key of B flat. When we ended that first section, ended in an F, but now we're in the key of B flat, so we need to end in the key of B flat. So all the same rules still apply. Make sure that E flat lines up with that high D. And that's our end. Now I have seen additions where that second to last measure, I've seen it where that F it's a quarter note E, quarter note F, but just follow this addition. Oh, sorry. And just follow it that way. Okay? Nothing too crazy. Just the two-note phrases and the notes, I think, are the hardest things here. Okay? Thank you guys for being here. I hope some of you beginners take some of this music and start working on it today. Very, very fun pieces. And I've had a lot of success with my own beginning piano students doing these pieces, and they had a lot of fun doing them. Okay? If you wanted me to go over these in more detail, leave a comment down below. Let me know which one you would like to hear more about, and I can start working on that video. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get alerted when I release another video, and go ahead and smash that like button for me. Thank you guys for being here, and I'll see you guys next time.